Hey yo, what up? It's Mixmaster Mike here. They call me the Serial Wax Killer, representing Copeland Entertainment, Beastie Boys, Invisible Scratch Pickles, Cypress Hill, and Metallica. I want you to check out my man Jonathan Winbush's project right now. Peep the method behind his madness and the layers upon layers upon layers of next level stuff. He's gonna blow your mind, all right? Peace.
What up, Winbush here, and today I'm excited to show you guys how I made this. Now this video comes a part of my epic partnership where I take the Unreal Engine logo and animate it in a variety of different ways. In the first video, it's called Naturalistic. I showed you guys how we take the Unreal Engine logo from Cinema 4D into Unreal Engine, and then we use mega scans and different assets from the marketplace to kind of really make this thing look like it's inside of a cave. And then the second one, called Geometric, we use simple shapes and simple colors with some wood grains to make the Unreal Engine logo come to life. Again, going from Cinema 4D into Unreal Engine. And then this third one, called Gameristic, which you just saw, is heavily inspired by games like Fall Guys and Mario Kart. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how we could take the Pug character and we're going to rig it up in Mixamo, and then we're actually going to add our own mocap data courtesy of Rococo. As you can see, I have the mocap suit on right now, so I'm going to do a live demonstration on how I go from this, bring it into Cinema 4D, rig everything up, and then bring that red character into Unreal Engine. And not only that, I'm going to show you guys how we could do custom camera moves in real time in Unreal Engine. If you look right here, see, I actually have an arm mount right here. I have a shoulder mount and I have an iPad hooked up to it. And what's cool is I could hook this iPad up into Unreal Engine in real time, and we could do handheld shots and get the shots. So it's kind of like a selfie 3.0, like I'm doing the mocap and I'm directing myself in the camera. I mean, there's really cool stuff coming up. And to kick everything off, I do have a special guest. So without further ado, EJ, let's get right into it.
What up, what up? It's not Winbush, it's just me, EJ, and I'm going to be showing you how you can fix your Mixamo weights. You can apply other mocap animation to it. So let's go ahead and check it out. All right, so here's our dancing pug, and you see we have a lot of work to do, some really janky geometry, and this is going to mean that even if we apply different mocap animation to it, we're still going to have all this weird jankiness to it. So we need to fix the weighting. Let's go to our pug body mesh here, and let's go to the weight tag. And the weight tag basically holds all the information of like what joints are influencing which vertices. And to see that visually, we can bring up the weight manager by holding the shift key down and double clicking on this weight tag, and there's our weight manager. And I'm going to bring up the joints and the commands tab here by holding shift and have both of these tabs open at once. Now if I click on the weight object here, you can see all the weights visualized. You can see which joint is influencing which vertices by what color they are assigned, and you can see that the hips joint, if I select the spine and then like the left shoulder and the right shoulder, we have this very drastic transition from one joint to the next, and that's why we're getting this overlapping janky kind of animation. We need to smooth out the weights here. So what you would typically do is like, okay, I'm going to select this weight object here, and that will then select all of the joints underneath it, and then just go and say, you know what, I just want to smooth out the influences between all those joints. So I'll go to smooth and then just hit apply all a whole bunch of times. And you can see that voila, we fixed a lot of things. And that's a quick fix. But the problem with that is that we have the arms kind of bending oddly, like they don't have a sharp bend anymore because we just smoothed everything out. So what I'm going to do is undo all those smooths. And one thing I recommend is, instead of like, if you're smoothing things, you want to ever go back to the current weight setup, you can always save weights and then load them up later. So I can save this weight setup and then load up that weight setup later on if I ever need to go back. Okay, so instead of selecting everything and smoothing all those joints, I can go and just select the joints that I want, say like the hips and the spine, and maybe I just blur these together. If I select these joints, I can just blur the weights on just those selected joints here by hitting apply all. And actually a good thing to do is bring the strength down so you can kind of go in increments and not go, so drastically. So instead of going 100%, we're going 30% at a time and slowly smoothing everything out. Now, another thing we can do is bring in like the left shoulder here and the right shoulder shoulder, and maybe we blur these all together as well. So I'll hit apply all. You can kind of see what we're doing there. And then I can go to see if that fixed the hips at least, and it looks like it did. We got a little bit of sharpness going there. So let's select the weight tag on this object again, and let's see what's going on. So it's definitely the hip and this left shoulder. So let's go and apply all here a couple times. And then let's see if on the other side, we can select the hips and then the right shoulder. And that side actually looks pretty smooth. Okay. I don't think we need to futz with anything over there. So I think that's looking good. So now we're just going strategically selecting different joints and smoothing them out. So in addition to the smooth mode, there's also a few other interesting modes like bleed. And what bleed allows you to do is allows you to have a joint's influence kind of bleed out into other vertices. So if I choose the head here and maybe bleed this out 15%, hit apply all, you can see that that influence is bleeding into the other surrounding areas. So if I have the left shoulder and apply all, you can see that that's also bleeding into the arm. If I do the left arm, apply all, you can see that's bleeding or like growing the influence outwards, which is really cool. Now let's just say we had like our left shoulder, our left arm, our left forearm, our left hand, like all smoothed out and looking good. And basically we did all this work on the left side. We need to mirror it to the right side. So what you can do, and it's very easy, is we can mirror from the positive side to the negative side by literally just selecting the joints we want to mirror and then hit the mirror plus to negative, and you can see that that updated on the right side. And now we have mirrored weights. Now all we have to do is go ahead and apply some subdivision surfaces here to smooth everything out before I hand it over to Winbush. So all these objects I'm going to apply a subdivision surface to. So I'm going to hold the Alt or Option key down and choose the subdivision surface, and that will automatically make the subdivision surfaces a parent of all of those objects that I had selected. And now we have a pretty nice dancing mesh. Now, Winbush will need this character to be in T-pose. So what I'm going to do to get this character in T-pose is select all of the weight tags here and then go to reset bind pose. And then all I need to do is just go to my timeline by hitting Shift F3. And let's just turn off that animation track. And then we just literally just delete all these keyframes here and save this out. All right, now Winbush, you're up.
Thank you for that, EJ. Always a pleasure working with you. In this next step, I'm going to jump into Rococo Studio. We're going to do some custom mocap, export this out, and then bring it into Cinema 4D where we can rig it up on that character that EJ just sent us. So this is Rococo Studios, just as a quick overview. Right here where it says actor profiles, like you can have several different actors in here. I have a Winbush one here already. And as you can see in here, all you have to do is go through these different measurements here, put in your different measurements. It has a roller right next to the character so you can see what you need to measure. And once you're ready with that, you just hit save body profile, but I already have mine made up. And then from here, I'm just going to open up a new project. And I'm just going to name this one tutorial. Click over like that. And then this is Rococo Studios. I don't have my avatar in here because I have to hook up my battery pack, which is all USB charged. You can use like any third party. I got this one from Best Buy, but let me hook this into my suit right here. All right, cool. Once everything is powered up, you saw my avatar pop into the screen and you can see I'm moving and everything, but it's not exactly calibrated. And so I have to tell it that we have to use the Winbush profile. So right here where it says add objects, I'm going to click on this blue W for Winbush. And then right here where it says S49, this is actually the smart suit. So I'm going to click and drag this under Winbush and this should turn my avatar blue like so. And now you can see it's starting to get a little bit better, but we have to make one more step to calibrate this correctly. So right here where it says perform straight pose, I'm going to click on this and then I'm going to go into a straight pose. It's going to do a 3 count and then it's going to have everything calibrated. So let me click this here. And there we go. Everything is wireless, so it's just running through my Wi-Fi router. Everything is 1-to-1. And if I look down here in the lower right hand corner, this is all the different sensors that are in the body. So if it's green, that means it's perfect. If it's yellow, there's a little bit of interference, but I found that my studio setup in here is work perfectly with this. And so the next step from here, I just want to kind of move around, make sure everything is locked in. So I have my head movement. You can see here I have my strap underneath my main gear hat here, and I have everything going accordingly. So I can lift my feet up. Everything's good to go. And so from here, I'm just going to do a quick mocap and then we're going to export this out and bring it into Cinema 4D. So if I look down here in the bottom, I just have to click right here where it says start. And right now it's recording. So I'm just going to move back and I'm just going to do a little dance for the pug there. Wish I had some music, but eh. There we go. So that should be good enough. So if I come over here to my left side where it says take, if I double click on this, I can check to make sure that my take took well, which I'm pretty sure that it would. See, you can see me talking there. And there we go. You can see my little pug dance there, get my groove on. So right here in the lower right hand corner where it says export, I'm going to click on this. And you can see that we have a whole plethora of different options here. But the coolest one that I think we have is right here where it says skeleton. We can actually export a Mixamo skeleton, which is Cinema 4D artists. I know a lot of us out there are using Mixamo. So I think this is perfect for our needs. So right here where it says mimic file hierarchy, we're going to leave that clicked on because our naming conventions will be the same for our Mixamo skeleton that EJ sent over to us. And then from here, I'm just probably going to export this out to my desktop. So I'm going to click OK. And then just click export here. And there we go. The next step from here is to bring it into Cinema 4D and to rig it up to our character. So right here we have Cinema 4D open. This is the pug character that EJ sent over to us. Everything is weighted. We have the Mixamo skeleton here that he weighted everything to right here. So the next step from here is I want to bring in that mocap data from Mococo Studios. So I'm going to come up to File, Merge Object, and then I'm going to go to my desktop. Look for where I saved it out at right here. Mixamo take one, click open. And I'm just going to leave everything at default here and just click OK. And now we have our Mixamo skeleton and it brought in the mesh. So if I hide these right here, so I'm going to select all of these, hold down the left Alt key and then just double click and drag down to just hide these for a minute here. So this is the mocap data that we brought in from Mococo. So I'm going to drag this out in the timeline. Then I'm going to hit Control D because I like working at 60 frames per second. There we go. So if I click play here, you can see that we have our mesh brought in from Mococo Studio and the Mixamo skeleton. If I look over here at my file structure, you can see right here, we have Mixamo hips, and then this is the one from the pug. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to connect this right here that's connected to the pug to our mocap right there. So let me click play right here to stop it. I'm going to go back and I'm actually going to delete this mesh because all I need is the skeleton. Then if I hold down the left Alt on my keyboard, click and drag down. There we go. So now we have our pug character in here. And as you can see, the pug is way larger than the skeleton that we brought in from Mococo, but that's fine because all we really need to do is connect the joints. And so the skeleton size doesn't really matter that much. And so to do that, actually, I'm going to select all of these first, and I'm going to put these into a group. So I'm going to select object, group objects, and then I'm just going to name this one pug. And then I'm going to come down to here, and I don't want to get these mixed up. So I'm just going to double click on this, and I'm going to name this one pug Mixamo. And that's just so I have a difference between the two skeletons. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on tags, and then I'm going to come down to rigging tags. And right here where it says constraint, I want to click on this. And so this is going to be how we connect this skeleton into our mocap skeleton. So what I'm going to do right here while I have this selected still is come over to PSR, click this, and then I'm going to click the PSR tab here in the attributes window, click on offset, and I want to make sure that I have maintain original. I'm going to click this on, and that should be everything that we need there. So what I'm actually going to do from here is I'm going to click back on my pug skeleton. I'm going to come down to view, and then where it says folding, I'm going to unfold selected, and so that it just unfolds everything in here. And the reason I'm doing that is because I have to manually take each one of these constraints and connect it to each one of these joints. And so what I'm going to do from here is I'm just going to hold down the left control on my keyboard, just click and drag it to each one of these joints here. And so this gets kind of repetitive. So I'm just going to show you guys how we could get the first couple of done. And then I have a pug that's actually already all linked up, but I just want to show you guys the process so you know exactly how you do this. And so now I have a constraint connected to each joint. So from here, it's just as easy as kind of connecting this to the correlating mocap joint. So right here where it says hips, I'm just going to select this hips and drag it right here to target. And if I click play, let me scrub through this a little bit. You can see it's actually moving our pug. so you can see exactly what it's doing. So we just have to connect the rest of these joints here. So I'm going to bring this out right here. So I'm just going to click the plus button up here, and then we're going to go through the spine here. So I'm going to click this one, click and drag the spine over, select that down, and then right here where it says spine 1, just going to click and drag this over. So remember inside of Rococo Studio, whenever we said we wanted to have the same file hierarchy, this is exactly why, because it's easy. We don't have to do any guessing. We know like the neck goes with the neck. We know that the head goes to the head, etc., etc. So I don't want to bore you guys going through each one of these joints. I actually do have one that's all rigged up and everything and ready to go. So let me show you that one and what the final outcome is going to look like. So this is the final pug from the animation that we have. We have our Rococo mocap data here. If I click and drag these out, you can see that each one of these joints are connected to one of the joints from a mocap. And then if I just click play on here, I'm just scrubbing through just so you can see it. So our pug character is dancing with our mocap data. And then if I come over here, actually let me pause this. I'm just going to hide this. So like I was saying, the scale of the skeleton doesn't really matter. It's all about just connecting the joints there. And so it looks like we have a pretty good rig here. And so the next step from here is we want to take this data into Unreal Engine. But first, let me make a stage just so we have something that the pug could be dancing on. So he's just not dancing in the air. So I'm just going to make a quick stage real quick. So I'm going to make a cube. Maybe just drag this out like so. And bring this right below his feet there, somewhere around there. There we go. That should be good. And I'm just going to drag it out a little bit. Then maybe let's do a fillet here just so we have some rounding edges. So something like that. So something like that should be cool. And then I could just click and drag this. Actually, let me just make a new material, because whenever we bring stuff into Unreal Engine, we want to make sure that we're just using simple materials from Cinema 4D. So I'm going to bring in my reflectance as well. I'm going to remove the default specular, add a GGX. And then I'm just going to bring this down to like 1% just to add a little bit of gloss in there. But Unreal Engine for right now, it's only going to take the default Cinema 4D materials. So no third parties or anything like that. But there we go. So we have a nice platform for him to dance on and everything. And so from here, I want to make sure that I have my group here selected, because I just want to export everything that's selected in this group. So I can actually hit this right here and it's going to select everything in there. And then I'm going to come over to File, come down to Export, come down to FBX. And then I want to make sure that I'm using the latest version, so 7.5, which is 2016. And I want to make sure that I have selection only selected, because I want to make sure that I'm only exporting my pug out as a FBX. And then for my platform, I can export that out on its own as a Cineware file. But for now, I want to leave everything else as it is here. Then I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to find a folder. There we go, FBX, that I want to save it to. I'm going to leave the naming convention as it is. Click Save. And there we go. We actually have our pug saved out as a FBX. And now I want to save out my platform, which I'm actually just going to delete all this stuff right here. And that's because I just want to export this out as Cineware. So if you go to my YouTube channel, or if you've seen my course, you know exactly what I'm going to do next. But if you don't, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this platform out in a form that Unreal Engine can recognize. So if I come over to File, come down here to where it says Save Project for Cineware. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm just going to find somewhere that I can save it. So I'm actually going to make a new folder, just name this Cineware, double click on this, and then I'll just name this one platform underscore UE4, so that I know that this file is going to be going to Unreal Engine. Then I'm going to click Save. So now that we have everything saved out, the next step from here is to finally get into Unreal Engine, where we're going to bring everything together. So I have the Epic Scam Launcher open right here. And from here, I'm going to come over to Library. And then I'm going to use version 4.25.4. I'm going to click Launch here. And then from here, we have the Unreal Project Browser. I'm just going to come down to Film, Television, and Live Events. Click Next. And then I'm going to start off with a blank slate. So I'm going to click Next again. And then down here, where it says under My Projects, I'm just going to name this one Pug. And then I'm going to enable ray tracing, because I do have a card that can handle it. And then I'm just going to click Create Project. And then from here, we're going to get into Unreal Engine. I'm going to show you how we can import everything. All right, so we have Unreal Engine opened up now. As you can see right now, I don't have the DataSmith plugin here at the top. So I'm going to show you guys how to enable that so that we can import our Cinema 4D files. So if I come over here to Settings, come down to Plugins. Then if I come down here where it says Built-in, we're going to click on this, and under Search, just type in C4D. And then right here, I'm going to click enable, and it's going to make us restart our project, which is fine. I'm just going to click yes, click restart now, and this should just take a few moments to restart here. So now that we have Unreal restarted, the next step from here is to come up to where it says Datasmith. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to look for where I imported that stuff at. So let me find my platform. So it was under Cineware folder, platform underscore UE4. I'm going to click open. Then I'm going to click on the content folder, click OK. And then I'm just going to import everything. Just leave it at default, click import. And there we go. Now we have a platform in here, which I could take this platform that's default from Unreal. I'm just going to delete this one. And now we have our platform in here from Cinema 4D. If you look up in the top left right now, it says lighting needs to be rebuilt, but we could use all dynamic lighting. So everything's going to be in real time. So if I click on my light source here, then click on the details panel, right here where it says stationary, static, and movable. If I click on movable, now our light's going to be dynamic, and we don't have that in the upper corner, so we don't have to do any bake or anything of that nature. So down here in my content browser, I'm going to click on content, and then I'm going to right click, and I'm just going to make a new folder, and I'm just going to name this one Pug. And this is where I'm going to import that FBX file that we saved out of Cinema 4D that was rigged with the mocap data. So I'm going to double click on this, click on import, and then I'm just going to find that FBX file, which is right here. So I have my rigged Pug right here. I'm going to click open. And then down here, I have a few settings that I just want to click on. So where it says animation, import animation, I want to click this one right here. And then where it says animation length, I'm just going to leave it at exported time. And then I'm just going to leave everything else at default here. And I'm going to click import all. And now it looks like our Pug's imported. I'm going to close out the message log. Now, if I look down here where it's like underscored purple, if I click and drag this Pug into my scene and just drag them up on the platform a little bit, let me swing around here. If I come in a little bit, we can see that we have our Pug here, and he should be rigged up. And so in order to see him dancing and everything, we have to make a sequencer, which is a timeline in Unreal. So it's real easy to do. If I come up to cinematics, click on this, click add level sequence, and it's going to ask us to name it, but I'm just going to leave it at default under new level sequence. Click save, and you can see right here, now we have a timeline editor in which all I have to do is click on my Pug, and then over here on the right where it's the world outliner, I'm just going to click and drag him into the scene. And then right here where it says animation, I'm just going to click on this, and you'll see that we have our animation sequence already there ready to go. So if I click on this, you can see our Pug kind of went to the side there. So I'm just going to scroll through my bar here a little bit. I'm going to click on my Pug, come down to my details, and where it says transform, I'm just going to rotate it on the x-axis by 90 degrees. Now if I scroll through here, we should have our Pug plane in here. And if I click on this and I click G, that would take away all the different icons and everything in there. And I could drag them up a little bit. But if I click play down here, now we can see that we have our Pug dancing in the scene. And I'm going to just drag it over a little bit because that looks like that was the intro of the animation. So I can actually just come down here to the sequencer and just drag it to a point where I like it. So somewhere around there. And then down here where it says no looping, I'm just going to click loop, click back to the start, click play. And there we go. We have our dancing Pug in Unreal Engine. So we have our cool dancing Pug and everything in Unreal Engine. So the next step from here is we want to do some camera moves, which is really cool. I could hook up the iPad to Unreal Engine and actually do some handheld camera shots. And if you do want the step-by-step how to hook up your iOS to Unreal Engine and be able to do this next step, make sure you go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jonathan Winbush, where I give you the step-by-step how you hook it up to your router and the IP address and be able to connect it. But in this video, I want to show you guys, once we have everything connected, how we can use it to make some slick handheld camera moves. And so if I come down here into where it says World Settings, I just want to come down here to where it says Game Mode Override. And then I want to click on virtual camera mode. And this is after you already have everything set up. So I have my iPad already connected to my Wi-Fi router to allow me to do this. And from there, all you have to do is go to the App Store. And we actually have an app from Unreal called uRemote. So I'm going to select it on my iPad now. And then I'm going to click the connect button. And let me put this up on my shoulder mount. But before I do that, right here where it says play, I'm going to click the down play button. And then I'm going to come right here where it says new editor window, click on this, and this should connect everything to my iPad. And so I'm going to step back so that I can see my Pug in my view. But if I look on here, And actually you can see it in the window down here as well. If I select this, it should correlate in real time. And so I actually have a controller up on my screen, which I can control with my iPad. So let me hook this up on my shoulder. And what I'm doing is I'm actually moving back right now, somewhere around there. So I'm using the joystick on my iPad to move back. And then I didn't put in the camera, but you can also set up like a start camera. But let's say I want to shoot this pug from the side. So you can see right here, if you look on my computer in the lower left-hand corner, there's a red button. And if I click on that on the iPad, it actually gives us a recorder. So now once it hits the 1 mark, I could just actually move my camera around. I could kind of take my joystick, move it in a little bit if I want to dolly in. And it gives us a whole bunch of leverage. So say that we want to start in the sky like I do in my demo and then come down, point at the pug. It's recording all those movements. And then if I click back on there, now it's going to give us a take within our system here. So let me put this down and let me click stop. There we go. So if I come back to my content browser, if I come to content, you can see that it actually made a folder here called cinematics. So if I double click on this, we have a takes folder. And if I double click on there, right here, it made a sequencer for us. And if I click on this camera here to lock it into place, and then if I click play, you can see now we have our camera move all in Unreal. And so now the next step from here is just kind of connecting the two together, which is easy in itself. So I'm going to come over here where it says Cinema Camera Actor. I'm going to right click and just click copy. And then I'm going to find my sequence that I made before. Remember the one with the dancing pug in it. So I'm going to double click on this. Then I'm just going to right click and paste the camera in here. And then you see we have a button here for plus sequence. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm just going to find the one or scene 101. I'm going to click on this right here. And then you can see it's still not dancing, and that's because we need to add a camera cuts. So if I click on track right here, click on camera cut track, then I'm going to select camera. And I'm going to select the camera that is our sequence there. So I'm going to click Cinema Camera Actor. And I'm just going to drag this over. So now we should have our camera locked in. And there we go. So hopefully this demo gave you an overview of how I created my project for the Unreal Engine logo animation. I used Mixamo, Rococo Studio, Cinema 4D, and of course Unreal Engine. And then I brought it all to life with handheld camera moves on my iPad. So hopefully this is something that's really cool that sparks your interest and gets you guys exploring as well. And I also want to give a big shout out to EJ. Thank you for allowing me to use your pug model and giving us a demonstration on how you could properly weight it with the Mixamo skeleton. And I also want to give a shout out to Rococo because this mocap suit is dope. If you guys want a discount on it, make sure you hit me up. They gave me some codes that I could give away to you guys if you're really interested. And I also want to give a big shout out to Maxon and Unreal Engine. Without you guys, none of this stuff would have been possible. So thank you guys again, and make sure you go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jonathan Winbush. Make sure you click that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.